Untitled Pilates, and we are going to be working on thoracic extension. So extension of the mid and upper back, building up to some classical Pilates exercises. These exercises are really wonderful for anyone who sits a lot. We lose a lot of that mobility of our thoracic spine in all planes of movement. And also good for cyclists in the same way, a lot of that forward rounded, reaching for your handlebars positioning, and just sort of stabilizing there. We again lose a lot of that mobility. So we're going to start on hands and knees with this one. And we don't need any props, so that's nice. It's nice and simple today. So hands are going to be directly under the shoulders and shoulder width apart. So if this feels uncomfortable for the wrists, you can always roll up the mat or take your hands a little bit forward. And then in this position, try to make sure the hips are right over top of your knees. We're going to come into some cat-cow first. I'm going to cue the first one pretty specifically, and then we'll flow a little bit more. So finding an exhale, curl your tail under, and then you'll start to flex through the low back. Allow that ripple or that wave of flexion to come up through the upper and mid back, actively pressing your arms into the mat away from the floor with the spine, gazing at your thighs. And then again, starting from the tail, you're going to untuck your tail, send your sit bones wide behind you. And then as you find extension of the low back, keep a little tone through the abdominals, and then focusing here as much as you can, shining your sternum on the wall in front of you, drawing the shoulder blades down and together ever so slightly. And then head just comes along for the ride. Try to avoid overextending through the neck. So the gaze is maybe at the front of your mat or maybe a few inches in front. And then we'll flow through that a couple of times. So initiating from the tail, curling under, we'll exhale to round. Press through the shins, press through the arms, press the whole spine away from the floor in flexion, focusing on rounding through the low back. And then extend, sending the sit bones behind you, chest reaching long. Exhale, curl the tail under. And inhale, untuck the tail, extend through the spine. Let's do that 2 more times. Curling, tail under, flexing from the tail all the way up through the crown of the head. Extend through the spine, reaching long, focusing on length versus how deep into that extension you can get. And then last time, we'll curl the tail under. Press away from the floor actively through the shins and the hands again here. And then extend. And then from here, we're going to settle in between those two in your neutral spine. So a lot of times with neutral, I'm going to have you inhale here into the back and side ribs. And then exhale, feel like you're drawing your abdominals up away from the floor. A lot of times as we do that, we'll curl the tail under to engage the abs. Keep the tail untucked. Take another inhale here. And exhale. Draw the front hip points together without tucking the tail. Then from here, inhale the right arm out to a T. We're going to inhale to open up the chest. And then exhale, thread the right arm under the left. Into your thread the needle. Feel like the right hip pulls back ever so slightly, so hips stay square, and we rotate through the mid and upper back. Inhale, open up, and exhale, thread. So mobilizing into flexion, extension, and now into rotation through the mid and upper back, getting a little bit of mobility here before we ask it to go into extension. One more time, we'll inhale, open up, and then bring the right arm down. Level out. Make sure the weight is even, the weight feels centered with the midline of the mat, and then to the other side, we inhale, sweep the left arm open, chest towards the left, and then exhale, thread. Inhale, open up, and exhale, rotate. Again, hips stay pretty stable with this. They may shift back a little bit as you thread the needle, but focus on rotation of the ribs. Last time, opening up, and then bring the left arm back down. Stabilizing again here through the left arm and right leg. We're going to reach the right arm overhead, left leg behind you. Make sure as we reach, we're reaching for length versus height. We're trying to reach long, keep the belly toned so that we don't dump into the low back with this. And then lower right arm, left leg, and then left arm, right leg, other side. So as we switch, think of, can you tap the wall in front of you and the wall behind you with the arm and the leg? Feel that oppositional reach, the name of the exercise. Trying to find that feeling versus getting as high as you can with your arm and leg. And then toning through the abdominals, drawing the front hip points towards the rib, or front hip points towards one another, abdominals gathering to spine, trying to keep the weight as centered over the middle of your mat as you can. So as little shift of the hips side to side as possible. And then right arm, left leg reach. We're going to take your right arm out to that T again. And then with the left leg reaching long, lift up and out of the left arm. Make sure we haven't dumped into the left shoulder. We're going to spiral the chest open again towards the right. And then you're going to thread the needle with the left leg long behind you. Inhale, open up. A little bit smaller range of motion probably in your rotation with one leg floating. If this doesn't feel good on your sacrum, on your pelvis, bring the leg back down. We're going to open up one last time. Feel that lift up through the bottom arm and then bring the arm and leg down. Take a moment there, even weight. Nice neutral quadruped. Belly gathering up, left arm reaches in front, right leg reaches behind, and then left arm to your side into that airplane. Lift up and out of the right shoulder, rotate open to the left, inhale, exhale, thread the needle. It might feel shakier on one side versus the other. So you can always bring the right leg down and do another set of your thread the needle without this balance challenge. And then exhale. Wring out the ribs around the spine. Last time opening up. And then land everything down. Take your knees wide. Shift back into a child's pose for a moment here. So in the child's pose, try to take a couple of breaths into the back and side of the rib cage. We can really aid our thoracic mobility by breathing from the inside out, breathing into the back band of the ribs where we're often usually pretty tight, getting some stretch for the muscles in between each of the ribs. So we're trying to expand the ribs to the ceiling versus the belly inflating into the thighs with this breath. Okay. So from here, I'm going to have you, if you were in that wide knee position, we're going to bring the knees a bit more narrow if that feels okay in your child's pose. So if what we're about to do doesn't feel great, do either on ankles or on knees. Go back to hands and knees, and you're going to focus on that extension into your cow and just back to neutral. Really focusing on lifting the chest, mid and upper back extension versus low back extending. If this position feels okay, you're going to drape yourself over your own thighs. And then I like the arms to be reaching long behind me so I can feel that oppositional reach of the arms and the chest and the head. And then try to keep the collarbones a little wide as you do this. So this position is helping me to keep my low back long so that low back can't find the extension, and it's going to automatically make it more about upper and mid back. So keeping the collarbones wide, we're going to inhale, and I want you to try to shine the sternum on the wall in front of you. So again here, it's not about the neck lifting. It's about lifting the chest, drawing the shoulder blades together and down, and feeling some active work through the mid and upper back. So the muscles in between my shoulder blades are actively lifting my heart to neutral or maybe even into a little bit of extension. And then this position of child's pose keeps my low back long. And then gather the belly over your thighs and round back forward. We're going to do that a couple more times. Inhale, collarbones wide, sternum reaching forward, and then lift. And you're trying to find as even of effort as you can through the mid and upper back. Let's do that just 3 more times. Inhale, lift, and reach, and then lower. Keep the belly actively gathering away from your thighs the whole time. And then lower down. And so hopefully we're feeling, again, more upper and mid back firing to get that lift. And then lower down. So now from here, we're going to lay down on our stomachs. We're going to go into some more of those classical Pilates exercises. The first one is going to be a little bit more of a preparatory exercise. Our baby swan first. So hands underneath your shoulders. Legs are long behind you, about the width of your mat. More narrow will be a little bit more challenging to organize. If it doesn't feel good on your sacrum though, keep the legs wide. And then we're gonna let the chest lower down to neutral. And you're gonna find the gaze off the nose at the floor, long back of the neck. So hands will support for the first one. I want you to, again, try to find the collarbones widening. It's really easy to round forward here with the shoulders. So collarbones wide, a feeling of pressing down and pulling back with your hands to create a little bit of length through the crown of the head. And then from here, ground your pubic bone down and draw the belly away from the floor. Keep that length at the low back as you use the same muscles you were just using in your child's pose extension to lift the chest. Gaze maybe comes to the front of your mat, again, not all the way up the wall. So we make it again about thoracic extension versus neck, and then lower back down. We'll do that a couple more times. Inhale, reach long and lift. Feel those arms, hands pulling back to help broaden through the front of the collarbones. Belly is still gathering up. Make sure you haven't lost that engagement of the abdominals to support, again, the low back. And then lower down. We're going to go 3 more. Inhale, lift, lengthen up. Try to think again. Sternum reaching long, legs actively reaching behind you. So a little bit of active glute, even though the legs are on the floor. Maybe for these last 2, the hands float. And try to see if you can keep your extension of the mid and upper back as even and as long and as lifted and out of the low back as when the hands were down supporting. If hands need to come back down, they can. Otherwise, find your lift, and then in your extension, plant the arms down. We're going to walk the hands a little bit in front up into a Sphinx pose. So forearms down, elbows underneath your shoulders, hands shooting out directly from the elbows. So try to avoid going into that internal rotation with the hands more narrow than the elbows. And then from here, keep lifting away from the mat. So shoulder blades wrapping wide on the back. Avoid shoulder blades drawing together and sinking down. And then pubic bone is grounding down, pulling forward, and my belly is drawing up and away from the floor. From here, I'm going to try to widen the collarbones even a little bit more and draw the shoulder blades together and down to find even extension of my whole spine. And then we're going to go into our single leg kick. So the top leg reaches long, so much so that maybe the foot hovers. And I'm trying to find that length and lift from underneath my right butt crease. So right glute and hamstring work. And then I'm going to kick my own butt 2 times. Kick, kick, reach the leg long, lower down. Same thing with the left. We reach long, kick, kick, and then reach long, lower down. As I do that kick, kick, I'm trying not to let my weight shift forward and back. So that wrap of my front waist is really active to help stabilize my upper body as I do this hamstring and glute curl of the heel, kick, kick towards my butt. One more time on the left, legs go long, and then we will stack the hands and lower down, bringing your left cheek to your hands. So we're in rotation of our cervical spine now. We're going to do just a little preparatory movement to get the choreography for the legs down. So legs wide, shoulder width, or shoulder mat width. Shoulders are not part of this. Mat width distance with the legs. And then with the legs wide, now as your knees bend, your heels are going to connect in that sort of diamond shape of the legs, little frog leg. So as I find this position and I do that similar kick and reach long, I want you to try to find drawing the belly away from the floor, kick, and reach. Kick, and reach. Bend the knees, connect the heels, and then this time, keep the left cheek on the floor, but let's bring the hands behind the small of the neck, behind the small of the back. So from here, palms face up, hands are stacked, and I can draw my low belly up into my own hands now as I relax my elbows to the floor. They don't have to touch, just let them relax as much as they can. So from here, starting with bent elbows and bent knees, and then we're gonna kick our butt twice. Kick. This time as the legs lengthen, reach your arms long by your side and lift the chest into thoracic extension. Gaze forward, again, just a couple inches in front of your face. And then this time, bend the elbows, bend the knees, connect the heels and hands, right cheek to the mat. Let the elbows relax down to the floor. Kick, reach everything long. And then bend, left cheek back to the mat. Kick, and reach. Everything bends. Right cheek to the floor, kick, and reach long. Belly is gathering up. As you do that kick, really try to connect to the glutes to get that active kick in without rocking the rest of the body. We're gonna go one more time each side. Kick, and reach long. And kick, reach long, and then hands down. Press yourself back into a wide knee or a narrow knee child's pose. While you're here, try to again direct the breathing into the back and side of the rib cage, expanding the ribs to the ceiling. And then we'll walk the hands to the left side of your mat. We'll side bend to the left and breathe into the right back and side rib cage. So directing your breathing into the stretch. And then coming back through center, side bend, shorten the right side, big stretch through the left side. And we'll take one more breath into the left side and back rib cage. And then coming back through center, come all the way up. All right, that is it for today's video. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you found it helpful to get into some mobility of the upper and mid back. Hopefully low back is feeling a little bit more supported with all of that extension work and not feeling like it took the brunt of the work today. If that's not the case, please let me know in the comments. Let me know if you have questions. I love feedback, so let me know. And then if you did like this video, I'd love for you to subscribe, and I'll hopefully see you around for the next video. Bye.